Chances are you won't finish this video, and that's okay. But if you do, I think it might change the way you look at your own life. I recently reconnected with a cousin of mine that I hadn't spoken to in quite some time. You know how it is when you catch up with someone after years apart. One conversation turns into another, and before long, you're talking about everything. Work, relationships, family, the choices you've made, and all of the things that have happened since the last time you really sat down and talked. And at one point, the conversation shifted to a mutual friend. My cousin and this friend are around the same age. They grew up knowing each other, spent a lot of their younger years around the same people, and started from fairly similar circumstances. But somewhere along the way, their lives took completely different paths. My cousin became the adventurous one. She's traveled to different countries, met all kinds of people, experienced things most people only ever dream about doing, and built a life filled with stories. She's seen places, taken risks, and lived in a way that many people would probably describe as exciting. Our mutual friend, on the other hand, stayed much closer to home. She eventually met someone, got married, built a stable life, and now she's expecting her first child. Two completely different lives. And as my cousin was telling me all of this, I found myself doing what most people probably do. I started to compare them in my mind. It wasn't consciously, it was just out of instinct. Which one was happier? Which life was better? Who made the right choices? And who ended up where they were supposed to be? But then my cousin told me something that caught me completely off guard. She told me that she was envious about the mutual friend's success in life. And honestly, that surprised me because from the outside looking in, it felt like each of them had exactly what the other wanted. My cousin looked at her friend and saw stability, a loving husband, a growing family, someone to build a future with, something she admitted to me has been difficult for her to find. And it's not like she hasn't tried. Life just doesn't always work out the way we expect it to. There's bad relationships, disappointments, people who weren't who they seemed to be. The older you get, the more you realize that finding the right person isn't always as simple as movies made it look. Meanwhile, our mutual friend who confided in me 5-6 years ago looked at my cousin and saw something entirely different. She wanted the freedom that my cousin had, adventure, experiences, stories, a chance to see more of the world, and a chance to figure herself out before settling down. Because while she loves her husband and is excited about becoming a mother, there's still a small part of her that wonders what her life might have looked like if she had taken a different road. What if she traveled more, or moved somewhere new, or taken more risks? That's when something clicked for me. Neither of them actually wanted the other's life. They wanted the parts of the other's life that looked appealing. And I think that's something all of us do. We look at someone's life and we see the rewards, the highlights. We rarely see the costs or sacrifices. We see the marriage. We don't see the compromises. We see the freedom, but we don't exactly see the loneliness. There's adventure, but there's also uncertainty. There's success, but pressure. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that every life comes with trade-offs. The person who spent their 20s traveling the world may have missed opportunities to build roots somewhere. The person who built roots and settled early may wonder about all the places they never went. Every choice gives you something. Every choice takes something away. The problem is that when we compare our lives to someone else's, we usually compare our sacrifices to their rewards. And I think that's never a fair comparison. Social media exaggerates this and makes it even worse. Every day we're exposed to snapshots of lives that seem perfect. Someone is getting married, someone is buying a house, someone is backpacking across Europe, someone is landing their dream job. And because we see all of these movements and moments side by side, it's easy to feel like everyone else has figured something out that we haven't. But what I've learned is that every life looks simpler from a distance. The closer you get, the more complicated it becomes. The person you envy is dealing with things you can't see. The life you want comes with problems you don't know about. The dream you've built in your head is usually incomplete because you've only imagined the rewards, not the responsibilities, the sacrifices, and the hidden costs. And maybe that's why I keep thinking about that conversation about two people who took completely different paths through life. One looked at the other and saw all the adventures she never had. The other looked back and she saw the family she always wanted. Both of them felt like they had missed out on something, yet both of them were also living lives that the other admired. Maybe that's the funny thing about being human. No matter where we are, we're never really satisfied. We're often tempted to look somewhere else, to wonder, imagine, and ask ourselves what could have been. Maybe there's nothing wrong with that, but I think we should also remember that every path comes with its own blessings and burdens. You don't get the rewards without the sacrifices. You don't get the highlights without the hardships. And you don't get someone else's life without inheriting their struggles too. The grass isn't greener on the other side, it's just growing under different conditions. And sometimes, if you spend a little less time looking over the fence, you'll realize your own lawn and garden has a lot more going for it than you thought. That conversation opened up a new set of perspective for myself, and recently I've become pretty grateful for what I have right now. And maybe you should too. Thanks for watching, Rado, and I'll see you in the next video.